Hello, hello. Sorry, I was not talking. So maybe not better. It's always difficult with the. I'm just gonna quickly. Trying to get about someone in tick mark the way. It's sort of a markers that don't build. Okay. Hey, patience. Hello. Hello, hello. So like these are all quite dry. When I weigh them, they're all about 9 grams. Weight the ones that I have still work but are not dry. They were about 10 point, not 100 grams. That would be a really heavy markers to get the broad nib. And they say that the way to refill these older pool, they've redesigned it and I think, but basically the person said that you have this there and there, but it overflow. Put a few, and then and I mean I'm doing this because I have. If I didn't have 10.4. Can always. So the nibs are so dry, it doesn't even leave a mark on. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna be rambling a little bit so you can tell me if the audio is better. I have one marker left to add a bit of ink into. I'm gonna put this away. And I'm gonna get to this one. Sorry. It's a bit... just doesn't want to come out. Come on. Okay. When one thing doesn't work, you try another one. Okay, let's weigh this one. Oh, come on. Tear up. Okay. This one doesn't need all that much. Whatever you did, that's much better. Okay, yeah, that's the thing. It's the weird, like, issue that I get where I can sort of fix it, at least so far, just by unplugging and... hold on. Unplugging and replugging my microphone. And I don't know why it is, like, this weird, but at least it's super easy to fix, right? I'll take it. Oops. Oh, I'm making a huge mess with this one. Ah. 10.2. All right. Oh, that's plenty enough. Yay, okay, I'm all done with this. I'll be able to get to the real thing I wanted to try out today. I'm just gonna, sort this out. Ugh. Okay. That's good, that's finished. Maybe a firmware issue, could be slightly dirty gun. Oh, I should look into that. That's possible. Firm theory is that English that issue the words. Yeah, it's kind of odd. I don't know if it's because it's sort of picking up a different microphone or if it's just struggling with the noise gate for the beginning of the stream, or some sort of conflict between all the software that I use for streaming. Ow. Ow. Sorry. It's difficult to clean alcohol from your fingers with more alcohol when you have a lot of like dry skin cracks in there. I don't really recommend it. It's not very pleasant. Okay. So then with this, just gonna quickly sort this out. That's the tweezer in here. Okay. Right. So this is what I have that I want to try today. It is egg tempera in black. This is, as far as I know, Sennelier is like the only brand that makes egg tempera. If you search for tempera in general, you're gonna get the kids paint. That's not this. Gonna grab some paper. This is the bee paper. It is a little bit textured, but not all that much. If that doesn't work out like well, I'm gonna go look out for a different type of paper. I've seen this paint used on cardboard, so you kind of need something relatively smooth for it. But I have no experience, and I haven't seen anyone paint with this. I haven't particularly looked for it. I'm just gonna grab a palette. Let's go. Okay. So yeah, settling down. I got really curious about this particular medium because it is quite unique, and I've seen it recommended a lot for people who want to do something a bit similar to oil painting, but with a lot less solvent, a lot less toxic elements into it. But aside from that, there's very little that I've seen just from like a cursory first search. And I was curious about this because I was looking at some older painters that would do illustration for children's book, let's say. And if you look on auction sites, oftentimes they will list the material that were used. And it would often be tempera on cardstock or cardboard or something like that. And yeah, that got me really curious because I was like, oh, tempera, do they mean gouache? Do they actually mean something else? And then I saw this and I was like, oh, this is an interesting sort of middle ground. A bit like casein, it is something that dries more permanent than you'd think, but you can still dilute it with water and rinse your equipment with water and soap. It is technically a very old medium, I think it used to be made where you would just have pigment and egg yolk and mix them together and then paint with it. A lot of the religious icon paintings are done with this type of paint. But yeah, I was really curious because if it's something that's a bit like gouache, but not as rewettable as regular gouache, but also not acrylic gouache either. It's really interesting. But yeah, it's a very limited range of color that's available. And research on tempera, which word I'd heard but never really knew anything. Yeah. Yeah. And hold on, I was trying to think of a thing to say. I know a bit more about casein because of James Gurney, and he's documented his usage of casein really well. But yeah, for egg tempera, I'm really not familiar with it, so... Yeah, I think I was saying that it's a very limited range of colors. There's not that many, and I was trying to find one that would be dark enough so I could do some sort of monochromatic things with if I ended up like wanting to push it a bit further. And they didn't have a Payne's gray kind of color. There wasn't any kind of like indigo. Black was, you know... Does it smell anything? Oh, it has a really weird smell. Ooh, it's odd. I wouldn't know how to describe it. So it can be quite fluid. Like I can make really fine lines with it, and it's not like it's diluted enough that I don't get too much skipping. What about dry brushing? It works, it works. I'm gonna have to, like, the real test is gonna be to let this fully dry and then work on top of it to see if it picks up any of the color, right? Currently, egg tempera and casein paint are functionally identical but with different binder. Would make sense. The egg tempera has the egg yolk as a binder. I think it's the yolk. And then casein is the milk protein. And casein, it dries really permanent, I think. So it's like a precursor to acrylic gouache somewhat. Or regular acrylic paint. I don't know if casein is matte. I have a hot chocolate today. I kind of get the feeling that there's quite a significant percentage of this particular color that is PBK 11, because we can sort of see the granulation in there in the parts that's heavily diluted. According to Wikipedia, you can use PVA as a binder. Yeah, I've tried that, because if you use PVA as a binder, you're basically making acrylic paint. Acrylic paint, sorry. that's really all there is to it. If your pigment it works really easily and well if you have mica paints, like from like the regular mica that's just mica, not makeup, but what's the brand? Is it Jacquard? But yeah, there's a brand that makes like all kinds of pigments, and if you have that and you mix it into PVA glue, you're basically making shimmery acrylic. I've done it for a few test paintings. Once in like some time ago, I had some golden PVA, and it works perfectly fine. Reminding me, I bought some compressed charcoal sticks to use to transfer drawings onto watercolor paper. Should I have bought graph? Ooh, maybe. The charcoal is going to be really, really messy, and it's going to transfer a lot of the powder on your watercolor paper. Though you don't need anything special though if you want to transfer something onto watercolor paper. If you have any kind of HB pencil at home, that's also something you can use. Just gotta make sure you sharpen like a decent length of the lead, and then you put it on the back of what you want to transfer, just on the lines. You don't need to cover the whole thing with the graphite. You can just do the line work that you want to transfer. That limits the amount of residue that can, get onto your watercolor paper. I was afraid of that. Oh no. I hope that was not an expensive purchase. Okay, finished that. So far it seems to be drying quite matte. It's not fully dry yet, but it's not doesn't have any shine to it anymore. Been casually learning a bit about traditional Japanese painting, and they mix the paint on the spot from pigments, the traditional binder, there being a hide glue. It is really fascinating that that kind of process. For critter stuff. Oh well. I mean, it can be handy if you want to do some, uh, like, from what I remember, we would mostly use charcoal to do model drawings on, you know, the really large pads of newspaper paper. um, and yeah, it's kind of messy too, so you want to keep that in mind. But if you want to do some quick gestural stuff and really work like bigger, you can cover up a lot of surface by using a piece of charcoal on the side. And that's really interesting in terms of mark making. But it is not the most compatible medium with watercolor because of the way it transfers powder to everything. It is quite granulating. I don't know if you guys can see in my palette well, but you really have like the PBR11 pigment that splits here. Just waiting for it to dry. Feels mostly dry to the touch. I don't think it's rubbing off. A very faint pickup of color. Very, very faint. So it's a bit different from some gouaches in this aspect. I know it's a bit early, but I want to try it out. Okay, it re-wets a little bit. The lines are a bit better, but you can still see that it's a bit gray. I guess it would be better suited to perhaps monochromatic things, or you know, adding lines on top of watercolor in that aspect. What if I paint an area and then I let it dry, and then I want to come back and layer? It's gonna be all weird. Nah. No. If it re-wets, you cannot really ink anything prior to painting because it's gonna make a big old mess. The only thing I would perhaps need to really try is to, you know, let it dry for like until tomorrow and then see if I get a different result, because sometimes that happens. Even with inks that are waterproof. Sometimes inks that are waterproof, it feels dry, but then you try to paint over it and it re-wets. You're gonna have to wait a bit longer, even if it's, you know, technically dry. It is really interesting for the texture though. I would. I don't think I have any. Oh, wait. No. I think all my gouache is stowed away. I can try a small comparison with a bit of black watercolor, but I don't have any gouache on hand. I'd have to dig them out of my storage. Not no actual storage, but just the way it's set up. But even if you have some supposed pigment liners that smudge, yeah, you kind of have to wait extra, and it depends on the paper. Like if it's a paper that's really smooth, that doesn't help either. So that's like this, somewhat. Yeah, that's how it goes. Okay, like is this third one? So that's just for the sake of comparison, but you can kind of tell that the watercolor, I would have to work a bit more at it to get it to be as black. It's kind of gray, whereas it was easier to get a black line even with the diluted tempera, that. What happens if I use it in for a wet patch? It's always really funny to do that with. So I'm guessing it doesn't have much surfactant because it's not spreading all that much. So do a very quick little illustration test with this. Oops. I always end up dropping water from the brush. Like, I don't pay enough attention. There's always a drop of water on my brush, and then it plops down when I'm trying to paint, and I'm like, ah, quick, gotta do some damage control. I was looking at some of the illustration books that I have, like mostly kids' fairy tale books. And I'm kind of bummed that a lot of that expertise and know-how is kind of lost. I look at what they get. Of course, it's just the final image. Like, we don't have the process or anything, but that's kind of the issue, right? Most of these artists are long gone, and it's really, really hard to find any kind of info about their technique or their method or what they would use to get the result that they got. Like, if these illustrators used gouache, I have no idea how they got like the results that they got, because it is controlled, like it's not it's illustration, so it's not exactly like oil painting or something a bit more, what do they call it, a la prima, that you can sort of get with gouache, be a bit more impressionist with it. It's very controlled line work and illustration and storytelling and all that, so I don't know how they did it. Their stuff doesn't look like a Hot Mess Express, so I'm flummoxed. I don't know what I'm doing. Are there any specific books you think of as favorite? Yeah, sure. So yeah, I wrote Tony Wolfe, Jean-Paul Colbus, I think is his name. There's quite a few artists from. Hold on. Like I don't know how to say it. Like the Eastern countries, like Polish artists. Yuri Trinka. There's a lot of I don't know, depending on where you live, but over here we have a lot of like storybooks for kids. You know, the big books where it's gonna be like 365. Shit. Hold on. Hello? Oui. Juste... j'ai un peu trop de trucs en même temps. Si vous pouvez répéter, peut-être? Ça peut. Oh my gosh, okay. Can you hear me? Am I somewhat back? I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, okay. So I might have to preemptively and unfortunately end the stream here. Some household stuff is getting moved around. I think what I'm gonna try to do is I will, let this dry. I will try to record a little video, like offline, with me commenting on my usage and all that, and I'll upload that for members only to talk about my experiments with the egg tempera. It's a bit of a substitute for the live stream, but it would also allow me to let this dry and to perhaps experiment a bit more with time and drying time and all that with this medium. Like we had something that was planned for tomorrow, but there's a possibility it happens like today instead. So I have to go prep that up. And yeah. Thank you so much for being so understanding. I really appreciate it. Yeah, like it's a weird array of circumstances. So I will end this here. I will, hold on, let me leave myself a note. I might be able to show some of the illustrators I mentioned if I do a little offline video. So is there anything else that you would be interested in seeing if I do a little offline video? Yeah, sorry, Antipatience. I might have to go. There's a bit of a things that are being moved around, and I don't really know what will happen. But I was saying that what I was thinking I could do is to record a little offline video, a bit like streaming, but just me commenting on the experiment and, you know, trying more stuff with this medium and showcasing some of the illustrators I mentioned, and having that video be posted for members only. Oh, it mixes with other. Okay, cool. How? Oh, I'm a bit frazzled because that's always what happens when there's a lot of sudden stuff that happens that I haven't had time to fully wrap my brain around. I'm always a bit frazzled. But yeah, if there's anything else, if I think of anything else, I'll add it for sure. But yeah, it's gonna be a bit like a streaming video. Like I'm not gonna edit it all that much, but I will do more tests, perhaps more little painting tests or layering tests or waterproofness tests, that kind of stuff. Mixing it with other mediums is super interesting, and I have books too that I can show with the illustrators that I'm talking about. So all of that. Sounds good. I'm gonna go look at what to do with charcoal. You'll find something. You'll find something. I mean, it's fun to use. It's very like free, and if you can work on those 18 by 24 inches pads, it's kind of fun to just like, you know, be loose about it. But it is super messy, so keep that in mind. Don't do charcoal in a room where you have carpet, unless you can put something to protect the carpet first. But yeah. So sorry about this very shortened stream, but yeah, I will work on the video and I will post it ASAP for members only, and keep you guys posted on the Discord. So thank you so much. See ya in the next one. Bye bye. Oh yeah, take cake. Very important.